Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. David Schwartz, who is Ripple's CTO and one of the creators of XRP and the XRP ledger, has issued a legitimate warning that Bitcoin could be hijacked, specifically in El Salvador, where it has been declared legal tender within that country. Now, could this ever happen with XRP? Yes, technically, yes. But that's not something that is likely to happen at all. So, not exactly something to lose sleep over, more so a fun thought exercise. So I want to share with you the specifics of what David Schwartz had to say. But before we go any further, I do want to be clear that I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who makes YouTube videos as a super duper fun time. But that's all that's going on here, damn it. And so for those of you that are unaware, I gotta set the table or else none of this story is going to make sense. But here's a story from CNBC from June 5th this year. El Salvador looks to become the world's first country to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender. El Salvador is looking to introduce legislation that will make it the world's first sovereign nation to adopt Bitcoin as legal tender alongside the United States dollar. In a video broadcast to Bitcoin 2021, a multi-day conference in Miami being billed as the biggest Bitcoin event in history, President Nayib Bukele, I'm sure I'm butchering the name, but I give it the old college try. President Nayib Bukele announced El Salvador's partnership with the digital wallet company Strike to build the country's modern financial infrastructure using Bitcoin technology. And so I've already made a couple videos, at least, where I've talked about what Strike is doing to basically compete with Ripple. And so I'm not going to rehash that in this video, but it is worth knowing that Strike has partnered with El Salvador. The specifics of the arrangement, not really well known, but Strike seeks to utilize a blend of Lightning Network and Bitcoin to solve the same problem that Ripple is seeking to solve, utilizing XRP as a bridge currency, and there are a ton of reasons why their technology today functionally does not work. Strike's technology, in terms of settlement, does not work. The messaging portion may be perfectly fine, but in terms of the actual movement of money utilizing Lightning Network and Bitcoin, understandably a complete train wreck. So if they can ever figure that out, super duper. I'm not against any sort of competition. I'm just highly skeptical of that ever actually panning out here. And so I was listening to an interview, a brand new interview from David Schwartz. He was on the Thinking Crypto YouTube channel. And he said that the details of El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as legal tender were, quote, weird, end quote. And so Bitcoin transactions cost way too much, right? So what they're doing here in El Salvador apparently is they're building technology on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. So it's a layer 2 technology, and that layer 2 technology is centralized. Bitcoin, of course, it is decentralized. We could have a fun conversation about to what degree, but it is decentralized. But that layer 2 technology would be absolutely centralized, and so that's what's being created to facilitate Bitcoin transactions within El Salvador, because you frankly can't do it with Bitcoin on its native blockchain. It just because the fees would just be outrageous. I've seen fees over $50. I've seen transactions take over a day. The layer 1 technology just doesn't do it. And so basically what you do is you create a layer 2 technology, which is a representation of the Bitcoin that's on layer 1, the actual Bitcoin blockchain itself being layer 1. So in layer 2, you have a representation of that, and it's locked up. And then you're moving around the representation in a centralized ecosystem. And so here's a direct quote from David Schwartz that I transcribed. He said the following: I think there's a legitimate fear that this is a ploy for the regime to essentially build up a stash of Bitcoin at the expense of sort of robbing its citizens of dollars. Whoa. And so that would be something. He's not the only one that is thinking along these lines. It's not wacky to think this or question what is actually happening here. So if you're trying to get everyone on the Bitcoin standard here, well, if you're going to be using Bitcoin, then where are you going to get it? Like, you're not being given Bitcoin, that's for damn sure. So you're going to have to use your United States dollars, which is legal tender in El Salvador, to purchase the Bitcoin. And then all of the Bitcoin, it looks like there's a chance it could just be held by El Salvador. And so, if you're the government, that might be pretty sweet, because if something happens with the United States dollar, or if you don't want to be beholden to United States geopolitical pressures of any kind, not being on the dollar standard there might be looking pretty good to them. Think about the implications here. If your standard is purely Bitcoin, you don't have to worry about that, and then you do have complete control. And then the layer 2 technology, there's no indication that it's going to interface with the rest of the world, which I think is where Strike might come in. Because if they're going to be a middleman and just make markets, I could see potentially that being the case, because certainly if there's a layer 2 technology that's just used in El Salvador, that doesn't just by nature just magically plug into the rest of the world. You can't convert the Bitcoin rather to anything else. And so, having a company that can facilitate cross-border transactions, that would make sense. And so if that's the direction that they're going, that would be interesting. And if I were a citizen, I'd certainly be a bit concerned at a minimum. But that might be functionally what's going on with El Salvador and Ripple's competitor, Strike. So we shall see here. And now take a look at this headline from You Today. Overwhelming majority of Salvadoran entrepreneurs oppose mandatory Bitcoin acceptance. So it looks like the people in El Salvador not really a fan of this. According to a survey conducted by the Chamber of Commerce of El Salvador, only a minuscule 4% of all entrepreneurs are in favor of mandatory Bitcoin acceptance. I'm going to butcher this too. La Prensa Grafica reports. I don't know, that's the best I can do. Again, give it the old college try. Moon Lambo tries hard. But anyway, 39% of entrepreneurs believe it would lead to mistrust. In addition, almost half of those surveyed, 48%, do not expect Bitcoin to improve the country's economy by attracting new investment and creating new jobs. And check this out too, though. El Salvador's recently passed Bitcoin law includes Article 7, which stipulates that, quote, every economic agency, end quote, must accept the largest cryptocurrency. Must accept Bitcoin. That's what it means. They're absolutely required. And so you have to take part in this layer 2 technology. The coercion issue was viewed as a fly in the ointment in the landmark bill, with critics arguing that obligatory adoption goes against the ethos of the largest cryptocurrency. Wow, this is really something. It'll be super fascinating in the months and years ahead to see how this unfolds, because even if it is going to be a train wreck, which is not a guarantee, it doesn't mean it would happen anytime soon. And so with XRP, could something like this functionally happen? Well, yeah, because you could, not that I think it will, it's just a fun critical thinking exercise, but of course you could build on top of any decentralized cryptocurrency a centralized platform with representations of the underlying asset. So yeah, of course you could do it. And usually that's not what is done. But Bitcoin's so damn slow. I mean, frankly, the best way to move Bitcoin is on the XRP ledger. Now, of course, when I say that, I don't literally mean Bitcoin moving on the ledger. Like, Bitcoin always stays on its native blockchain. It can't ever get off of its blockchain. It's not possible. So what happens instead is the XRP ledger, which has a built-in decentralized exchange, you can issue any asset on that, which represents anything else. So you can issue a representation of Bitcoin on the XRP ledger, which has been done, and then it moves lightning fast, just as quick as XRP, blazing fast. And so you can do stuff like that, but that's a different technology working in conjunction with the Bitcoin blockchain in a sense. So it's certainly something. And then there was this headline too, which just gets even more interesting. World Bank says it cannot support Bitcoin in response to El Salvador's request for help. And so World Bank, it's one of those things you see in articles from time to time, but to be honest, I wasn't really familiar with exactly the nature of what they do, and so I did go ahead and just look them up on Investopedia here. What is the World Bank? The World Bank is an international organization dedicated to providing financing, advice, and research to developing nations to aid their economic advancement. the bank predominantly acts as an organization that attempts to fight poverty by offering developmental assistance to middle and low-income countries. And so World Bank saying no. The World Bank has rejected El Salvador's request for assistance in the tropical nation's endeavor to integrate Bitcoin into its economy. A spokesperson for the leading financial institution told Reuters that Bitcoin had environmental and transparency shortcomings. You think? I think they're going to want to have complete control over the Bitcoin. That would be my guess. Maybe not. Maybe we'll be surprised here. But anyway, here's a quote. While the government did approach us for assistance on Bitcoin, this is not something the World Bank can support given the environmental and transparency shortcomings. Yet, the World Bank is still willing to help El Salvador in, quote, in numerous ways. So there we are. We'll see what the hell happens here. But wouldn't it be something like, what if these legitimate concerns, they are legitimate concerns. It doesn't mean something is going to happen. But what if these legitimate concerns, we look back at an X number of years in the future and find, oh yeah, they were just hijacking Bitcoin from all their citizens. Now that would be something. Because, what are you even going to do about that? I don't even know what that would look like or how the rest of the world would respond, because the Bitcoin blockchain itself is decentralized. But if you're going to manipulate on a layer 2 technology, it is what it is, I guess. I'll wrap up there, though. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.